Munich is a great city to visit. If you're planning on visiting Europe for the very first time, you won't be disappointed by picking Munich. There's so much to see. The people are great, and the city is clean and safe. When traveling, especially with family, every bit of weight matters. Not only on the plane, but when you're moving about the city. Weight reduces mobility. Don't try to bring everything. Don't try to bring every bit of equipment for every scenario. Plan ahead. I'm going to give you my advice from the point of view of an ordinary filmmaker and father. First, scout your destination. What's the best season to travel to that destination? I chose Munich for several reasons. Landscapes for one. You have tall mountains and you have flat plains. Beautiful architecture. Munich was founded around 1158 and has amazing sights. Munich is safe, it's clean, and it's an affordable city that's easy to get around. Second, consider the climate, customs, food, and clothing. Munich has a very similar climate to the northeastern United States or southeastern Canada. Summers aren't very hot and humid as compared to Washington, D.C. and New York City, but be prepared for wide temperature swings, especially in the spring and fall. When we went, it was spring, it was early May. I had looked at the forecast for 3 weeks to see if it was any different from what the almanac predicted for that time of year. Temperatures were mostly in the low to mid 70s, with sometimes being in the high 60s. We planned accordingly. I brought a windbreaker because you never know, and the wind can really remove that heat from your body quickly. When we got there, temperatures rapidly decreased. By the end of our second day, it was snowing. Yep, big, white, fluffy flakes of snow. We were cold. We weren't prepared for that. But also, if you did forget something, don't worry about it. Buy something. Munich isn't very expensive for clothing. German customs are a little different than the customs we experience in much of the English-speaking world. Germans are polite, they are friendly, and they keep their city safe and clean. Respect the rules. Germans, and I don't know the reason why, I'm not going to get into analysis, but they believe very strongly in following the rules. They also get very frustrated by those that do not follow the rules. Punctuality is also important. If you have any appointments, be sure to arrive 5 minutes before that time. Don't be rowdy. Keep your voices down in public. And between the hours of 10 o'clock and 7 o'clock, keep things quiet. Also, if somebody invites you to their place, don't show up unannounced. And when you do show up, or if you are invited and you show up, bring a bottle of wine or something. And definitely obey traffic signals. Jaywalking is not done, not by Germans anyhow. And they get very frustrated by those that just feel they can cross the road where and when they want to. And get to the point. Unlike us English speakers, Germans do not care for small talk. And of course, have cash on hand. While they do accept credit cards, and most tourist sites do, cash is still king in many areas, so bring plenty of cash. Your hotel or accommodation, this is very important. I'm going to talk about a couple of key factors. One is location. If you're traveling with younger children, you want to be close to the action. And in Munich, that's city center. Unfortunately, this of course means prices are a little higher, but one thing you are trading off with a city center hotel in most cases is the rooms are very small. These hotels were built, in some cases, 100 years ago or more. While you might find a hotel with 2 beds, they might be singles, and with your luggage in the room, you're tripping over things. If you pick an American hotel, and American hotels are known for their large double beds, plenty of room to walk around, large closets, large safes, you can put your luggage in and you have plenty of space to get around. Unfortunately, these hotels are further out. It'll require a cab ride in. While bigger rooms might seem like a great idea if you're out and about most of the time, you're going to want that location close to the action. Munich is a great city for those on the go. I was amazed at how many of these sandwich shops I found. The bread was great, the different types of toppings, or ingredients that they used in the sandwiches were terrific, and they were very affordable. If you want something a bit more substantial, there were plenty of outdoor beer gardens or taverns that are beautiful, offer great filming opportunities, and provide authentic German food at a reasonable price. One place that we went to almost every night was this much like we would consider to be a fast food restaurant. Everything about it seemed like it was a fast food restaurant, except for the food. We had a salmon steak with mixed vegetables, and these weren't diced carrots or peas. These were the type of vegetables you would get at an expensive restaurant. That with a potato, it came to €10.99. Munich has a lot of amazing sites. We were there a week, and I wish we had more time. Let somebody else do the driving. You don't need to rent a car in Munich. What we did for the first 2 days, especially because it was so cold, we used the hop-on, hop-off tour service. I believe the price was around €20 per adult. They hit all the major sites. After 2 days, we pretty much knew where everything was. The bus offered a platform to shoot from that you couldn't get anywhere else. On the second story, you're about 10 feet above everybody else. That means you're shooting above the crowds. You're shooting above traffic. Yes, you do have to kind of use your body to stabilize the camera a bit, unless of course you've got IBIS or really good lens stabilization. If it's cold out, they're going to have the top on the buses, which means you're shooting through the windows, and in some cases, this could be a problem. Choose your bus wisely. If the windows are dirty, you're not going to get good results. You're going to get some reflections. Don't let this bother you. Remember, you're not going to get another platform like this to shoot from. Yeah, you might get some reflections, but you'll be surprised at how well this can look in post. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Munich is very affordable, and when it comes to sightseeing, it's no exception. I couldn't believe how affordable the different venues were. I don't think we ever paid any more than between €4 and €7 per adult per site. The BMW Museum is a great example of this. It was €7 for each adult. It's huge. There's so much to see. There's so much history. I highly recommend this. And the lighting in there is terrific too. So if you're shooting, you're trying to capture your family as they're moving about, it offers a lot of really good low light opportunities with different moods. It's just a terrific venue. But also keep in mind that as you go around from site to site, you need to allow for enough time. If you are going to be videoing or shooting video, don't forget B-roll. So if you're shooting your son running up and down, or your daughter walking towards or going to the castle, you want to capture them from different angles to create that B-roll, and that's going to take a bit of time. There are lots of great sites. I recommend anywhere from an hour to 2 per site. The hop-on bus tours are very frequent. You may not have to wait more than sometimes 15 to 30 minutes for the next one to come along. So spend enough time at each site. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is camera gear. This is my camera bag. It's not very big, pretty lightweight. So I brought the Canon 70D. It's a camera that I've had for many years, and it's a pretty decent camera. The autofocus is terrific. It really is good, especially when your subject is moving. The color accuracy is really good. Level of details, pretty good. Enough that the ordinary average filmmaker isn't going to have a problem. It doesn't have any slow motion. That's the only negative about this, but if you've got the 80D or the 90D, you get that 60 frames a second, which gives a nice smooth look. 90D does have 120 frames a second, but your autofocus disabled. Obviously, you're going to need something to clean your camera, so definitely have some lens cleaning kit in here. You definitely want to bring an audio setup. So what I brought is the Sennheiser shotgun mic. It's only about $200. Sits on top of the camera. When you pack it in here, it fits in. It just unscrews from the hot shoe. The lens I'm shooting with here today is actually my trusty 18 to 135 IS STM, not USM. The STM has a silent focusing motor. As you can tell, you're not hearing any sounds from the focus motor, even though the mic is right on top of the camera. I found that this lens works very, very well from photos to videos. I also brought the 50 1.2. Very, very good lens, very expensive lens. I'd say it's one of the best lenses for portraits, but it's heavy. I never used this lens. In fact, I kept it in the safe the whole time because it adds a significant amount of weight, and when you're moving around, that makes a difference. However, the nifty 50, the 1.8, works really well. But as I'm doing right here, I actually set the camera to the focal point of 50 on 18 to 135, and it's not as good as a dedicated lens, but when you're out and about changing lenses, there's a greater risk of dust. So I generally kept the 18 to 135 on the whole time. What really matters, and this depends on what kind of film you're shooting, but you want to have a good amount of SD cards. I don't shoot 4K, so I pretty much was fine with just 2 128 gigs. If you're shooting 4K, you'll want at least 4. I also recommend bringing along an external SSD. At the end of each day, I back up everything on these cards onto the SSD. I set the cards to write protect, and then I'd use another card the next day. The main reason for doing this was to have redundancy. It wasn't an expensive, it was an expensive trip. I would have been pretty disappointed if I had lost any of the information. So I might film 2 days on one card, back it up each night, then use a different card, keep the write protect on so you don't accidentally write over stuff. Recommend this lens pen. It's very good for removing any dust that gets inside the camera on the sensor. Also want to remember to bring an adapter so you can hook up your SD card to your computer. And don't forget to bring along some extra batteries as well. For the Canon 70D, I pretty much was able to go a whole day on one battery, but I usually had 2 extras with me just in case. Most of your equipment, from your camera to your computer, is designed to work with European currents. However, you'll need some sort of adapter for the plugs. But read carefully. Check to make sure your device is rated for the European voltage. On the charger, it should say something like 120 to 240, and if that's the case, all you need is an adapter. If it says something like 100 to 120, you'll need an inverter as well. My 70D is 6 years old and it's designed to work around the world, so I just needed the adapter. Same with my MacBook and same with my Canon charger. I also recommend bringing along something like this, a way of setting your white balance. I got this from Gregg. It was free. I think I just ended up paying $8 for shipping, but it works really, really well. I don't use it outdoors because I find that the Canon color accuracy outdoors is bang on and it's just not something I need to do. But when filming indoors, such as the BMW Museum, this thing is terrific. And it takes up no space and no weight. The one last bit of kit that I think is absolutely essential is a travel computer. This is a MacBook Air, it's the 11-inch version. I picked this up as a refurb model. And I purchased it strictly as a travel computer. If I was to review this laptop, I would say it's terrible. The screen's too small, the resolution isn't very good. But when you're on a plane and you want to watch your own videos, the size is perfect for one of those tray tables. In the hotel at the end of the day, transferring information to an SSD, looking up stuff on the internet, or just simply watching Netflix, it's the perfect size. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and more importantly, you don't have to drag it with you while you're out and about in the city. I found that this tiny little computer easily fits in most hotel safes. So again, it's perfect for travel, not much for anything else. And you'll find that when you're traveling, this is amazing. You'll love it. So anything that's sort of small, thin, lightweight, like an 11-inch computer will make a terrific addition to your kit. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something from it. If you did like the video, it would help me out a lot if you clicked like and subscribed. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.